Here's the circuit, a MOSFET hooked up to an audio transformer, and we're going to drive the gate with a small signal, 0.043 volts AC at 2000 cycle sine wave. And here's the build for it. And we're going to also have hooked up to this circuit an oscilloscope and a digital meter to measure the DC bias that we are changing on the gate. And that's all we're going to change is the DC bias. We're not going to change the signal, only the bias on the gate, DC bias. Okay, I've got everything set up, and I'm going to slowly bring the DC voltage up on the MOSFET, and we'll see what happens to the signal. Here we go. Still in millivolts. There we go. A little over half a volt now. Not much happening on the scope yet. Oh, there's a little something. Okay, here's a little over 2 volts DC. There we go, 2.2 volts. And we got a signal, 2.3. Oops, the bottom is beginning to look a little weird there. I'm looking at the power supply. Current is 0.00 right now. I'll continue on, raising it up. 2.7 volts. Now we got 0.01 for current. Increase it some more. I did that a little bit too quick there. 0.29. Okay. I'll continue to raise it. Now we're at 3 volts. And the current on the power supply says 0.06. And as I continue to increase the voltage, okay, it's still 0.06. So we just got DC going through that MOSFET right now. Okay, let me bring this back down to where it started to operate. Okay, there's 3.1, 2.9, 2.5, and here we're going back down. Now it looks like a pretty good sine wave there. And remember, the signal going in is only 0.043. Very, very low input. Okay, there's 2.1. And then nothing again. So it looks like there's 2.2, got a pretty nice sine wave. Oops, that's a little bit too high. Looks like right about 2.3. Bring that back up again. Yeah. It can go up a little bit higher, but then it starts to distort at the bottom as I raise the voltage. And now the MOSFET is just on. Okay. There's a fairly nice sine wave. I think this is very interesting. And all I'm doing is changing the DC bias. I'm not changing the signal input, just the DC bias on the MOSFET. This was one of the better results, and I decided to measure the AC output where the scope is, and that read 2.2 volts AC. So from the input of 0.043 AC to 2.2 volts AC is an increase of a little over 51 times. Thanks for watching.